So the fifth job in our list of five is physical security, and and before you tell your story, Jason, I'm sure everyone is like, "What? How in the world does a physical security job get you a two-step into cybersecurity?"
Well, I think
And
maybe we
I
need to
can't wait for
define
you to
physical
tell them.
security first. So, physical security is talking about locks and cameras and doors and security guards and all the things we use to protect our buildings and our systems that are in those buildings, right? So, when I was a college professor about 10 years ago in the Anne Arundel County area, we had a lot of students who were trying to get jobs in cybersecurity because the National Security Agency was right there in our backyard. And so one of the things that our students would do is they would get jobs either as a janitor or in physical security. At every single gate in that facility, there's somebody checking your badge. At every single gate and hallway, there's people walking around doing physical security checks because they have top secret information in that building. And so one of the things people did was they got a job working in physical security at the agency as a contractor or a government civilian, and that got them their top secret clearance. So now, when they wanted to go get a job, it was a lot easier to get a job as a cybersecurity person. Once they had one or two key certifications and a top secret clearance, they could walk right in and become a cybersecurity analyst at the agency or for one of their contractors. So this is a very common thing I've seen in and around military bases and government facilities. Now, even in a regular facility, if you're doing physical security, that is one of the 8 domains underneath CISSP and is considered one of the 8 domains of cybersecurity. And so getting that physical security experience can build clock time where you're working in and around cybersecurity. And in addition to that, as you're walking around the building and doing your physical security job, guess what? You're able to network and make connections with people in that building who are doing the job you want. And maybe they'll mentor you and take you under their wing. So I've seen a lot of people use this as the first step in their two-step into a cybersecurity role.
I got to tell you, this is one of the things that I love about the fact that you and I are working together on this podcast and the other things that we're doing to help people because you're bringing a perspective in here that if it was just me, I would never have put physical security on this list because in the private sector where I've been working for the last 25 years, I almost never see that. Almost never see that. If it happens, it doesn't happen very often, at least as far as I can see. In fact, I kind of see the opposite. So when I was working at an insurance company, we kind of toyed around for a little bit about merging the information security team with the physical security team because the sort of the prompt here was, well, maybe we can save some money by not having as many people. Maybe we can do more work with less, so on and so forth. And so we kind of dug into it a little bit. But I'll tell you, I quickly found out that was not a good idea, only because the culture of the two teams was so different. Now, I'm not saying that means that physical security people can't cross over in your example. I'm sure that that probably works fine, but I was just shocked and surprised by just how different the cultures of these two teams were. I don't know if that's the way that it is everywhere, but anyway, that was my experience. So
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought this up.
I think that's interesting as well because one of the things I've done in my past was some digital forensics work. And when I went to school for digital forensics, the entire class, there was 2 of us that were actually technical background cybersecurity guys. The other 28 people in that class were all security guards, police officers, and federal agents. Why? Because they found that teaching cybersecurity folks how to do all the processing of the data and making sure you're logging it properly for evidence was really hard, and we would screw it up all the time. But it was easier for them to take a police officer and teach them cybersecurity to do the digital evidence collection because they knew they would get the chain of evidence properly done and the chain of custody properly done. And that was one of the things that kind of blew my mind when I got there. I'm thinking everyone's going to be here that's going to be technical. And I went in there and people didn't even know what the motherboard was or what the memory module was. We had to start at zero to teach these folks because they were coming from a law enforcement background, but they understood search and seizure, they understood evidence, they understood chain of custody, and they had that culture that wasn't the way that we do things in cybersecurity. And so it was a better process in that agency to do it that way, but it was something that really took me off guard as well.
Wow, that's super insightful, and I think it also points out something that we say a lot, which is important, which is transferable skills, right? I'll bet you there's a lot of people listening to us who are working as a police officer or in some form of law enforcement, and probably hasn't even realized that they already have all these fantastic transferable skills that could get them a digital forensics job. So